Hello Math 1B fans, our third quiz is coming up, so I thought let's do a review of everything we've talked about for exponent properties, everything in chapter 3 so far. I'm going to work through the even-numbered solution so that you guys, this will be a good starter up to just watch this video, get the solutions down on paper. Hopefully that'll be super helpful when you work through the odds yourselves. So, first even one, number 2, let's get to it. Maybe. So when you had a power to the outside, exponents on the outside of the parentheses, the idea was apply that power to every other exponent inside the parentheses. So every other exponent inside the parentheses would be 4, 1 for the A, and then technically the exponent for negative 3 is also 1. So what this creates is, through multiplication, b to the 12th, a to the 3, and then negative 3 also to the 3 power. So this just means you're going to multiply negative 3 times itself 3 times. So negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, times 1 more negative 3 is negative 27. And again, you guys can double check this on a calculator. Just make sure you put parentheses around negatives so that you don't get caught up in a weird little user error on the calculator. Okay, 2's done. Let's check out number 4. All right, all this does is gives us an extra group to multiply after we distribute that 3 through. So this is like negative 1 to the 1 power, x to the 1 power, y to the 1 power. And then, nothing else is going on in the second set of parentheses. So I'm going to multiply every exponent in here times 3. So that gives me negative 1 to the 3 power, x to the 3 power, y to the 3 power. Which, this is just negative 1 times itself 3 times. If you get a negative number to an odd power, it's going to come out negative at the end. And technically negative 1 will only be 1 or negative 1 when you multiply. It's not negative 3. Okay? All right, so this is what happens when you get rid of parentheses. It's still being multiplied by 1xz. And what we normally did when we worked with these properties in 3.1, all the way back last week, is we rewrote the constants side by side. We rewrote the x's side by side, which is actually x to the 1 power. And then we rewrote the y's side by side and the z's side by side. Now there's no y's to work with except this one. So it's kind of in a group on its own. Same thing with the z. And you really don't need to show the green step here, but sometimes it can be helpful. Like helpful in showing that, hey, I'm multiplying 2 coefficients, not adding them. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And then here it might be helpful to say, when I'm multiplying powers of the same base, I'm supposed to add the exponent. So this is going to be x to the 3 plus 1. Y cubed, leave it alone. And then put the z on the tail end. So there's your answer for number 4. All right, things seem to be escalating quickly. Number 6 has a lot going on. You should actually try to pause the video and do this one on your own, just to check yourself. Okay, let's see if you're right. So there are no powers given to negative 2 n to the 6y to the 5th and negative 6, n to the 3, y to the 3. So don't distribute this 3 to all the parts. This is just going to be negative 2, n to the 6, y to the 6. This is just going to be negative 6, n to the 3, y to the 3. It's the last group where everybody gets the 3 right there. So the y gets the 3, the n gets the 3, and then the 1 gets multiplied by itself 3 times. It's not 1 times 3. It's 1 times 1 times 1. All right, now we can regroup if we want to. So it's going to be, in my first group, negative 2 times negative 6 times 1. In my n group, it's going to be n to the 6, n to the 3, n to the 3. In my y group, it's going to be y to the 6. Oh, I wrote that down wrong. It's y to the 5th. My sincerest apologies. Y to the 5th, y to the 3rd, y to the 3rd. All right. 12. Six plus 3 is 9, plus 3 again is 12. And then 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So hopefully you guys got that when you worked it out on your own. If not, make the necessary adjustment. And then number 8's more of the same. So I gave you guys ample practice of what to do from the first couple sections. Again, I pause it and try this one on your own first. Everybody in the first group gets a 3 for its exponent. Everybody in the second group gets a 2. So it's 5 to the 3rd power, a to the 2 times 3, and then b to the 3. For my other group, it's going to be negative 2 to the 2nd power. I'm putting it in parentheses because it's a negative coefficient, and that makes a big deal when you plug it in your calculator like that. A to the 2, b to the 2, and f to the 2. All right, regroup it. 5 times itself 3 times is 125. Negative 2 times itself, 4. So that's me moving these two together. Then I'm going to move the a's together. The b's together. And then the f's are just kind of on the tail end of things. So if you take 125 times 2, that's 250. So if you just double that, you get 500. This will be a to the 8, b to the 5, and then f to the 2. All right, the next group of problems introduces us to division. And here are the 3 basic rules that you need to understand. 1, simplify the coefficient expression. So when you see negative 15 over 5, negative 15 on top, 5 on the bottom, that's just going to come out to be 5, 10, 15, but it's going to be negative. So it's negative 3, but you can think about it as negative 3 over 1. Yeah, and I didn't move around the coefficients because it's technically negative 15 to the 1 power, which is positive, so you'd leave it. And this is 5 to the 1 power, again, also positive, so you leave it. Second part. Anything to the 0 power ends up being the constant 1. So w to the 0 power is equal to 1. It's not w to the 1, it's 1. So I'm going to take w to the 0, get rid of it, and write a 1 in place of it. And that's how you deal with 0 exponents. 3. Move the negative exponents. So if you see u to the negative 1, that means I'm going to move it to the opposite part of the fraction. Moving it to the opposite part of the fraction changes its sign from a negative 1 to a positive 1. The positive variable expressions should stay wherever they originally were. Okay? So if you're a positive exponent, stay. If you're a negative exponent, move. All right. And then I guess your final move would just be to ask yourself, okay, am I multiplying or am I dividing? Up here, you're multiplying negative 3 times 1. That's negative 3. Down here, you're multiplying u to the 3 times u to the 1, which means add the exponents. It's going to be u to the 4 power. And I could keep the 1 there, or I could leave it off. It doesn't matter. I'll put it there so we have a coefficient on top every time and a coefficient on the bottom every time. All right. Let's apply these same 3 rules to the rest. Number 12. I'm going to get rid of parentheses first. So the top is m to the negative 2, n to the negative 5. When I distribute this negative 1, I'm going to get n to the negative 3 and m to the negative 4. So it looks like it's moving day for everybody. Everybody's moving. The tops are moving to the bottom. So it'd be m to the positive 2, n to the positive 5. The bottoms are now positive exponents on top. M to the positive 4, n to the positive 3. In deciding your final answer, division of powers means you're going to subtract the exponents. 4 minus 2 would be 2, so it's going to be m to the 2 power. We know it's going to remain on top because the bigger power is on top. So my final answer is going to be on top. The second part, the ends. The difference between 3 and 5 is 2. Since the bigger one's on the... Can you guys see that? Since the bigger one's on the bottom, you're going to have n to the 2 power on the bottom. Notice it's still positive. These rules are designed so that you only have positive exponents in your final answers, and you never have to really guess and check is my final answer negative or is it positive? It should always be positive if you follow these steps. I think we just have a couple more, all right? It's going to be a kind of a long video, so hold tight. All right, what happens when we have a group to a negative power, like we see here? Just distribute that -3 through. So the -3 gets attached to the 2, to the m, and to that -2. So my top changes to n to the -6 power, m to the -3 power, and this is where things always get wonky. Just rewrite it as -2 to the -3 power. Just rewrite it. Don't try to do anything on the first step. Okay? Let it be. On the bottom, it's going to be 4m to the -6, n to the 4. Nothing changed because it wasn't being applied to a power with like a group of parentheses here. All right. It's moving day for all the negative exponents. And then whoever wasn't circled, I'm leaving it where they I'm just leaving them. So the 4 stays on the bottom. N to the 4 stays on the bottom. M to the -6 is now going to move to the top. And the move makes it positive. The -2 to the -3, now pay close attention to this, becomes -2 to the +3 on the bottom. And that's being multiplied by the 4 right there. Don't forget to bring the m to the 3 down and the n to the 6 down as well. So m to the -3 becomes m to the +3. N to the -6 becomes n to the +6. So our final answer. The coefficient on the bottom is going to be -2 times -2 times -2 times 4. This ends up coming out to be -32. And I'm not moving it to the top because its exponent is a 1. That's a positive number. Stay. If you got a positive exponent, you stay where you're at. Now, the m to the 6 over m cubed, division means you subtract the 2, keep the top because it's the bigger number up top. So 6 minus 3 is m to the 3rd. Keep it up top. And then the n's, they're on the same part of the fraction, so you multiply n to the 4 times n to the 6. Add the exponents. It's n to the 10th. And there's your final answer. All right. Wow, we're pushing 20 minutes here. I'm going to try to go through this last one a little quicker maybe than normal. All right. We've got our beast. Give it a try on your own. And now it's my turn. All right. The -2 is not just going to the top part of the fraction, but since the entire fraction, the entire group on both the top and the bottom, they're all getting the -2. So to the z, to the y, to the x, to the 2. To the z, to the y, to the x, to the 3. Everybody gets that -2. So it's going to be 2 to the -2 power, x to the -6, y to the -4, z, looks like there's nothing there, so it's going to be z to the -2. There's your top. Your bottom is going to be 3 to the -2, x to the -8, y to the -2, and z to the +4. Every single power is going to move except the z to the 4. Move, 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 move. Move, move, move. So z to the 4 stays. I'm just going to go this way. All right, the top reds become bottom reds. So it's going to be 2 to the +2 on bottom. X to the +6 on bottom. y to the positive 4 on the bottom, z to the positive 2 on the bottom. And then the greens that were in the bottom become 3 to the positive 2 on top, x to the positive 8 on top, y to the positive 2 up top. From there, 3 squared, 9. 4 squared, 2 squared is 4. Subtract bigger numbers on top, so you stay on top. Subtract bigger numbers on the bottom, so the result's going to be on the bottom. Add. If they start on the bottom, stay on the bottom. And that's it. All right, guys. Wow. 21-minute video. Thank you so much for keeping that endurance and watching the whole way through. You got the even-numbered solutions. Now, hopefully that gives you confidence enough to work through the odds quickly. See ya.